This week on The Real Housewives of Miami.
When God takes out the garbage, you don't go back into the garbage and go diving, you know? He took it out so you don't go back in.
I know, but I have to realize that on my own.
Stephanie's comment is way out of line.
Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome back. Today we're going to be recapping the new episode of The Real Housewives of Miami, Season 7, Episode 4. Let's get right into it. Alright, so we begin this episode with Julia rehearsing. I don't know if she's still doing this singing thing that she started last year, but she's rehearsing and she's talking to her coach, I guess, her vocal coach, and she's somehow acting like the victim with everything that happened with her and Guerdy. She's crying or pretending to cry, saying, I needed to defend my family over this person. And I was just like, girl, what? No. And as we see this, they're putting some flash scenes of Guerdy talking to others about what happened that night. We see her talking to her husband, to Adriana, to some others. And also this episode we got the taglines finally. They were okay. I would say that my personal favorite was Larsa's. Her tagline was, it's hard to get on my bad side because I don't have one. You know, regardless of it being Larsa, and even though I don't really like her, that was probably my favorite tagline. So we actually begin the episode. We see different scenes of the women doing different things, but then we get a family scene with Guerdy. Her sons have really grown up so much from when we first saw them on the show. They're very, very much grown. The oldest one looks like I'm pretty sure he's got to be probably finishing high school by now. They look like they've grown a lot. So we all know Guerdy is an event planner, and she decorated the whole house with Halloween decorations for her son. It looks like Guerdy was so happy to be back in her element, doing her thing, even if it's just at the house. So Guerdy talks to Russell, and y'all know Russell loves his Guerdy, so he's upset that, and as he said, I'm upset that there was, the image of this tall woman over you, coming in at you. And then Guerdy begins to cry, and she says that she felt violated, in front of everyone. She felt like she was violated for the sake of everybody else's entertainment. And Russell, he's upset. He says, it amazes me that none of those women would stand up for you and put a stop to this. So then we see the other couple, Julia and Martina. Julia admits that she ruined Marysol's wedding, but it looks like she regrets doing it at Marysol's wedding more than she regrets doing what she did. Although she did say that she didn't have a right to throw water at anyone. But again, she's telling Martina, Guerdy said this, Guerdy said that. But I'm like, Julia, you seem to forget that Guerdy, yes, she said a lot, but that was after you started going in on her first. What surprised me was that Martina was saying oh yeah, she likes to attack. I was like, Martina, go throw a ball, go throw a tennis ball or something, because no ma'am. Julia did end up sending a text to Guerdy apologizing, and she is still, if Guerdy wants to come to the baby shower, she'll go ahead and let her come. She calls Adriana because Adriana is the one organizing this, and she says that Guerdy can still go if she wants to. Alright, so we finally meet Stephanie Shuja. She meets up with Larsa, and Larsa and Stephanie, they actually met through Caroline Stanberry, who I love. So they're flying on a private jet because Stephanie is so rich that she runs her errands on her private jet. Her husband started what is called the Shama Group. She says they are the third biggest real estate development company in South Florida. He started it since the 80s, so it's a long time to accumulate wealth. Of course, Larsa is being super nice to her. Larsa's an opportunist, okay? She'll be nice to someone if they have clout and if they got money. So she seems to really enjoy Stephanie. Stephanie knows some of the girls. She's heard of Lisa. She is kind of known Marysol and Alexia, but overall she doesn't know them too well. So she is, having to introduce herself and having to get to know a lot of the ladies. She's trying to get to know the rest. So Larsa fills her in on what happened at Marysol's wedding. She says, one of the girls named Julia baptized another one named Guerdy. And Stephanie thought Larsa meant like an actual baptism, like she actually got baptized. And Larsa's like, no, she had to explain what happened. Marysol then FaceTimes Larsa because now Alexia and Todd are like backtracking this divorce. One day is one thing, one day is a whole other thing. It's exhausting. So, you guys, the errand that Stephanie needed to run was to go from Miami to Orlando to pick up her dogs from her parents. Okay. That was her errand. And listen, I am mad at her. So, yeah, that was that. Moving along to the next scene, Marysol goes over to visit Lisa, who's back. She's there to give her condolences, brought her some flowers. Lisa asks her, how was your wedding? And Marysol says, well, us going to the courthouse, that was great, but, the rest was something else. Alexia also stops by, and Lisa's like, okay, tell me all the tea. I want to hear the tea from y'all. So Marysol says, well, before, the big event, the big drama happened, Larsa was recapping your trip to Milan and telling us that Jodi was acting all crazy and that you actually had to defend her because of how much Jodi was screaming at her. And Lisa says to her, no, that's a lie. Jodi never raises his voice at anyone. She's a liar and a manipulator. And then Alexia's like, yeah, she mentioned something about his eyes. And Lisa's like, his eyes? What does that even mean? His eyes look like they always do. Lisa says that it is horrible that Larsa was talking all this stuff about her while her dad just died. But here's the thing, though. Lisa, Marysol and Alexia are letting her know what Larsa said, but Lisa actually already knows this. Somebody told her what was said at Marysol's party. We don't know who, because Lisa says she's not a rat, so she's not going to say who said it. But she had already heard that Larsa was saying all this stuff about her. So when she actually heard what was being said, she took a picture of her dad in the casket, you guys, and sent it to Larsa and said, this is what I'm dealing with. Oh, okay, that is definitely something. Kind of creepy. I don't know. But speaking of Larsa, she's in her penthouse and she gets a FaceTime from one of her friends that was also at the fashion event that we saw. And this guy's pretty much saying like, oh my gosh, what happened at the fashion show? That was crazy. I couldn't believe Jodi and the way his eyes were looking. And Larsa's like, yeah, like his eyes. And he's in all of our business calls. He's a social climber. He's brainwashed her. Lisa better figure all this out. Listen, I gotta say this about this scene. This is Housewives, so we know that there's a lot of housewife scenes that are produced and planned. Like, we know this is a TV show that's being filmed. But then there's those scenes that just, like, feel so overly produced, and this was one of them. Like, I totally can see how Larsa probably called this guy and was like, call me at so and such time and talk about Jodi, and we're going to go in on him. Like, that's literally what it was giving. But I do not believe Jodi was acting as crazy as Larsa is saying. Larsa is kind of known for over-exaggerating things. So, yeah. Okay, so I told y'all last week that I hoped that we would be getting more Keke scenes this season, and we are. So we see her and her little daughter go to the airport to pick up her dad. The same dad that stopped talking to her for 10 years and because he kicked her out the house when she was 15. Yeah, that dad. But, she's on a path to forgiveness. Nothing is complete yet. You still gotta take your steps on this path. So she picks him up. She's asking him how is Haiti, how are things back there. She jokes with him saying that he's got to stay here, and he's like, no, I gotta go back. And she's like, oh well, yeah, I forgot, you got all your girlfriends over there. And he's like, no, not girlfriends, I just got one who just had a baby, by the way. So Kiki's like, what, I have a new brother? He's like, yeah. So Kiki's got so many brothers, I don't even know if she knows them all. But I don't think that her dad is too involved in her kid's life, which I think she would definitely want. Right, moving along, Larsa, Marysol, Julia, and Alexia have decided to meet, and Stephanie have decided to meet up, just to have some drinks. And listen, either Marysol is pretty well known, or she just drinks so much that because the bartenders already know her order, already know what her drink is. When Stephanie got there, Larsa got her Birkin bag and put it on the bar table, and Stephanie's like, no, we don't put that there. No touching. Listen, those damn bags are so expensive that I I understand, Stephanie, why you wouldn't want anyone to touch that. Stephanie says to Julia, I'm so happy to meet you. My husband loves your wife. So Stephanie's husband is much older than her. She doesn't have any kids. Apparently one of her quotes is boogers and Birkins don't go together, which I hate that, obviously any woman gets to decide if they want to have kids or not. But I hate the fact that in society it feels sometimes as if you can, it's either or, either the Birkin or the boogers, in this case the babies. So I wish there were, for women there that are business driven and motivated like that, I wish there could be like a balance, and I get it. So yeah, so she says that because she's been so focused on the hustle, it hasn't given her time to have kids. Like, time has just gone by. Stephanie, even though she's rich, and she definitely has, that she is rich and she presents herself in a very wealthy manner, she has a very nice down-to-earth energy, because she didn't grow up in this. She married into it. But yeah, she grew up. Her parents were immigrants. She was actually raised in a farm in Colombia. So she's a first-generation American, like myself. So far, I'm liking Stephanie. I gotta say I am. Anyway, the girls have been talking. They've been hanging out for a while. Alexia is supposed to be there, but she's not here. So she's pretty late, which Stephanie says that's one of her biggest pet peeves, when people are not punctual, which I agree, that's so rude and disrespectful. So Marysol calls Alexia. Alexia doesn't pick up, but she then sends a text message saying, "Oh, my head hurts, I'm just gonna stay in." First of all, rude, because why are you just now telling us that you're not coming? And second of all the girls think that she's with Todd, hooking up with him. Okay, so it is then the day of the baby shower. Adriana outdid herself, or the planners, or whoever put all this thing together. It was a very nice event. Interestingly, Julia apparently called Adriana, telling her to sit Stephanie next to her. Okay. So the people begin to arrive. Stephanie looks like she's got it locked in when it comes to the fashion, which all the girls in Miami, if we're gonna be honest, most of them are great with the fashions. Anyway, she brought her gifts. She's saying hi to everyone. Alexia is talking about Todd, and Stephanie's like, "Can I tell you something about your situation? When God takes out the garbage, like, let's not go back in it." Ooh, Alexia did not seem to like this comment at all. Lisa got there. Major tension between her and Larsa, obviously. Guerdy's in New York, so she's not going. I don't know if she wouldn't have been in New York had she gone anyway. I wonder, because I could see her not wanting to go, obviously, but maybe she could have. I wonder if she would have gone. So once everybody arrives, Adriana gives a nice little speech that she wrote about Julia and the kids, and then Alexia just can't help herself, so she gets up there to grab that microphone from Adriana, trying to steal the spotlight. I'm like, "Alexia, sit down for a second." And then before you know it, Alexia's giving her own version of a speech, and her and Adriana are like competing, but it was like in a funny way. So then they begin to play some games. Adriana had some food spread onto diapers, and they had to eat it and like figure out what it was. But the visual of something being spread on a diaper, it was a little bit too much for some of them, and it was a little bit too much for me. Even seeing it was ew. Then it wouldn't be Housewives if there wasn't a good old question and answer type of game. It was truth or dare. There was a question for Julia, who would she have a threesome with, and she chooses Stephanie and her wife. Larsa's question is, what is your biggest mistake that you've ever made? And Larsa says, "A big mistake I do is that I'm too loyal." Kiki then picks dare, as she's dared to twerk for 30 seconds. Okay, so once they get to like the actual like lunch portion of it all, I don't know if Lisa had too much to drink, or if she just doesn't think enough before she speaks, but she says to Stephanie, "I'm so glad to meet you. Yeah, I heard that you're rich. I heard that you have a yacht and a private jet. Yeah, I definitely want to be your friend." Lisa, that doesn't sound too good when you say it like that. Lisa then went to the restroom, and while she's in the restroom, they're asking Larsa how's she doing, and Larsa says that what she really wants to know right now is who told Lisa that she was talking about her. Alexia says to her, "Yeah, but Larsa, but the fact is, you were talking about Lisa while she was mourning her father. So then Lisa comes back and she's like, are we talking about me? And then Julie just can't help herself. She just wants to keep on creating controversy. So she says, who here wants to admit that they told Lisa what Larsa was saying about her? It was definitely not Adriana because Adriana wasn't there. But then it wasn't much of an investigation or a mystery because Kiki says that it was Guerdy. Guerdy told her that it was her. Lisa then it's like, that doesn't matter. What matters was that none of these conversations were had while I was here. They were had while I was with my dead dad. So she starts to cry, but because she's already drunk, she just sounds like, overly sensitive. And she says, you think I want to talk about this? You think I want to have these conversations? So she gets up and leaves. And that was the end of the episode. You guys, what were your opinions about this episode? And what are you thinking about Miami so far? We're 4 episodes in. I feel like I don't know if something's missing. It's taken me a while to get a little bit into Miami, which is crazy because I love Miami. Like, this is the Real Housewives of Miami. So yeah, but you guys, let me know what your thoughts were about this episode. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Let me know what your thoughts were about Stephanie. I'll catch y'all next time. Y'all have a great one. Bye.